We talk about densities, dimensions, all these things. Dimensions are like the big spaces. Densities are the layers that exist in between the dimensions. So think like a dimension would be a cake, okay? And densities are the layers of the cake. So let's use this guy right here that you can find on YouTube if you want to watch the video. It's pretty neat. We have a layer of syrup, and then we have colored water, and then we have oil, okay? And they're all different densities. So I'm going to use this to explain how we also exist in different densities. On the bottom right here, we've got the third D. This is what we call the third density. So in this example, it's the most dense of all of the energy, okay? That's where we physically reside right now, is in the third density. You see this little space between the water and the syrup, that's going to be 4D. This line right here in the middle between these two is the fourth density. That has a non-physical existence. And as you can see, each physical existence has a non-physical in between it. So we have physical, non-physical, physical, non-physical, physical, non-physical. I'm only going to talk about third up to about seventh or so in this video, but we have, it goes up higher than that, but we have third density, which is where we exist right now. We always talk about 3D to 5D. Now we go from 3 to 5, and we don't stop at 4 because 4 is non-physical. That's like the ethereal, the idea of heaven, things like that, okay? So we kind of pass through that density before we can exist in a physical density here of 5D. So for 5D, it is not as dense as 3D, and this person has dropped, you know, different objects in each layer to show you how dense it is, right? So there's a bolt here, there's a grape, a little bottle cap, and a sponge that shows you that it is compatible with each density. So a bolt is a lot heavier than a grape, so a bolt is going to be able to go all the way down into third density, whereas the grape is lighter, right? It's not as compact, it's not as contracted as the bolt is, and so the grape doesn't go into the third density. You would have to push it down, which you can do, by the way, with your own energy. If you want to experience lower vibrations than what you are, you're welcome to do that. You just have to concentrate your energy down even more. I don't recommend it. It's very uncomfortable to be in a lower density, but we can access any densities that we are at or lower. So the grape could access that if it were pushed down, right? Or if it were squeezed into a more concentrated form, making it a little bit heavier, it could do that as well. So third density here, fourth density is the ethereal, fifth density is where we are getting to, we are moving toward the energy, right, of existing in a physical space, but a higher vibration. So our physical forms, when we go into 5D, when we actually make that switch, make that flip, because nobody's bodies are in 5D right now, we're all living in the 3D physical experience, even if you are 5D in here and in here, because we haven't made that switch yet, right? So none of us are living there. If you are watching this video, you are not physically existing in 5D, although you may be spiritually, emotionally existing in 5D, and I love that for you. So in the 5D space, our physical bodies are going to be literally lighter. We're not going to have, this is going to sound so wild, we're not going to have as many organs. We won't have need for them. We won't have to eat. We can eat, but we won't have to eat because we will exist at this higher frequency where we will know how to just absorb energy from around us. We won't need food for fuel. Our fuel is literally the energy in the atmosphere, right? Or energy from the sun. And by the way, there are people existing who are doing that right now in the third density, but they are a very, very high vibration. So they've moved into being able to do that. So please don't stop eating. Oh my God, if you just stop eating, no, that's not making you exist in 5D. That's just making your form in 3D do not great things. So please, as a former nurse, do not do that. That would hurt my feelings. So 5D right here, a much less dense, lighter space. Our physical bodies are literally going to exist lighter. We can choose, once we get to this point here in 5D, if we want to exist as a physical form or more as a light being. We can kind of go back and forth. We can choose to have a body. We can choose to not have a body. It's just free will, whatever you want to do. We will all know how to do what we want to do. And then after 5D is 6D, this little line right here in the middle, and that's going to be another non-physical existence. And then we have 7D, which is even lighter than the 5D, right? And then it keeps going, right? The space right here would be 8D, and then we have 9D, and it just keeps going, it keeps going. The highest density that I'm aware of is the 12th density, but I mean, I am in a human form right now, and I don't have access to all of the knowledge in a conscious way that we all have access to when we are like existing on the ethereal, right? So in these non-physical spaces here is when we have access to all that is, all of the knowledge that we normally have access to. Now, many people have asked questions like, when we go from the 3D to the 5D, are we going to forget who we are? Are we going to no, you don't forget. Anytime you kind of upgrade yourself, go to a high vibration, it's a continuation of yourself, right? It's not like you die or anything. It's just more of who you are. You actually have access to more knowledge. You have access to more of who you have been and who you are on other planes of existence. You add to your overall knowledge. You don't ever forget. And I also get this question about the ethereal. You don't ever forget when you go to the ethereal about all of this. You remember, first of all, every moment of this life. And I know our human brains cannot remember every moment of this life, but our conscious souls will remember every moment, plus all of our other lives that we've ever lived and everything we've ever done on the ethereal. It's like all comes together as like a big collective. We remember everything. You don't ever forget. What questions do you guys have? Drop them in the comments.